9. If not, please hold. We don't audio record calls to this helpline. For information about what we do with personal data, please visit our website at ico.org.uk/privacy-notice. Our helpline is for organisations, people who work for themselves, and for members of the public. Please note, we will treat all people with courtesy and respect, and we expect the same. If anyone behaves in an unreasonable way to our staff, we will bring the call to a close. To help get you through to the right team, please select from the following 3 options. If you know the extension number of the person you want to speak to, please press 1. If you're calling from an organisation, a small club or association, you're a sole trader, or you work for yourself, please press 2. If you're a member of the public, please press 3. Here are your 3 options. To discuss an inquiry or complaint you've already sent to us, please press 1. To discuss a new inquiry or complaint with us, please press 2. If you're a whistleblower and are considering making a protected disclosure under the whistleblowing provisions of UK legislation, please press 3.
Pressing 2.
To listen to these options, we're now transferring you to a member of our team.
Good afternoon, the Information Commissioner's Office.
Yes, good afternoon. Can I ask who I'm speaking to?
My name's Will.
Hi, Will. I'm ringing up to make a general inquiry to get some general information as a member of the public. It's regarding a subject access request I've made, and I just wanted to gain some clarity on the response that I've received, which seems slightly unusual to me. So I just wanted to get some clarity on this. Would that be okay?
That's fine.
Okay, cool. So basically, I originally made a subject access request to an organization on just 1 second, please. I originally made a request to an organization for details regarding when I ring an organization up, I know like your organization don't record calls. That's your policy. But some organizations obviously make you aware that they're recording the calls. And that's perfectly fine as well. I mean, they have a right to record those calls. So I made a subject access request for this particular organization. And it was just in 2 parts. The first part said I would like a call history of every single occasion I have contacted you, basically. Knowing the fact that every time I rang up, they recorded the call and made me aware of it. So they had a log of a history of a log. And then the second thing I said that...
Just stop you there a second.
Yep.
We get to if we go through it point by point. So you sure you know for certain that the organisation has a call log?
Yes, because they have responded. So there's only two parts. So the first I said, can you give me a call log history of every time I've called up? And second thing is I would like a call record. You recorded the call, so I'd like a copy of the call recording. That's it. So that was my request with them. So I made that initial request with them on the 13th of December. And they had, obviously, I think they told me that they would require a reply by the 10th of January. And before they replied, they wrote back to me stating something like, "Oh, we're going to need an extension of time because our systems are not designed so we can easily pass out the information, the call recordings, basically." Obviously, so therefore, we believe that your request is complex and are going to require more of our time, and so we need 2 month. We're applying an exemption of a 2-month extension. I told them that's absolute rubbish because the reality is it's not the request has to be complex, not the fact that your side, your data management systems don't allow it, and therefore they are non-compliant to the data protection legislation. So I wrote back to them and stating that you're talking rubbish, and you're in breach of the legislation because irrespective of how your systems are designed, you have 1 calendar month. It's not complex. So anyway, they said they wanted an extension. So I said, okay, well, I mean, I'm telling you, you're in breach. But if you want an extension, you can have an extension. So now, anyway, so now they've looked to reply to my subject access request. I've just received a response from today. And so with regards to the first question, which was I would like a call history of every time I've contacted the organization, they've proceeded to provide me with an Excel sheet. All right, and it clearly indicates like over every single call I've made to them. But then the second part, obviously, which was the complex part, which would have meant that they would have had to actually go and get the call recordings and made them available to me. And I've done this with other organizations. Obviously, it's a bit more of a headache if the systems are not designed properly. But the other organizations, national organizations, have given me call recordings. But on this particular occasion, I mean, this is the response that I've received from them, which I just wanted to query with yourself, because I feel that this is a pretext, and I just wanted to again just some of your general input, because this is this is their response. They said that the information request will contain personal information about your brother, as this is the personal information about a third party. Releasing this information would be a breach of patient confidentiality. So in this case, we are unable to provide copies of call recordings where you have discussed your brother. If you have discussed information about yourself within the same conversation, we would also be unable to provide these due to not having the capability to censor the information about your brother. So this organization, I have no direct dealings with them. I act on behalf of my brother, who is a patient, basically a service user of this organization. The organization is a health trust. So because my brother does not speak English, and obviously he has other disabilities and stuff, I communicate on his behalf. So any information that they have would have only come through myself, as his proxy agent.
So, do you have? So I agree with you in this respect. So when it comes to subject requests, you can act on behalf of another person and get a copy of their information. However, you may need to prove that to the organisation. So in this case, you would perhaps need some form of ID or a signed letter of authority from your brother, just to state that he's happy for you to act on his behalf and get this information. Providing that you can give that to the organisation, there's no reason they shouldn't give this information to you.
Okay, just for some clarity of understanding, what's happened is that I have previously presented them with a lasting power of attorney. Okay, so this is not the first time I've made a request. On previous occasions, I've made a request on behalf of my brother for his data. So because he has like mental health problems as well, I provided them with a registered lasting power of attorney with the Office of the Public Guardian. So it was registered. It was a valid subject access request made with them several years previously. They then at the time used the pretext that the Calcott Guardian at the trust does not authorize the disclosure of this, irrespective of the authority letter. So basically, any authority letter or any, I'm not just giving an authority letter, I'm giving a legal instrument, which is a formal lasting power of attorney registered with the Office of the Public Guardian. They've then raised concerns regarding the validity of it and so on and so forth. So that avenue has been closed, so I can't get access to my brother's records, even though I act on his behalf. And he's still in my care. But then I said, oh, well, wait on a minute. If you're stonewalling me in order to not get my brother's information in that manner, I then make a subject access request in my own capacity as a relative. Because clearly, as you can appreciate, an organization normally has like a service user or a client. But our situation is slightly complex because the service user or the client has a proxy agent, namely myself as his carer. And the organization systems are not designed to basically hold my information. And so often what they say is that, your information is held on the patient or the client's records. And so when I try to get my information, because clearly I'm providing my information, they go, well, no, it's locked away in the patient's record and you need their authority. And so on this particular occasion in the past, I provided them with their authority. They didn't accept that authority. So that means that in essence, my data is getting locked away in my relative's record and I have no means to access it. So I explained that to them. I obviously rang yourselves up and you the ICO explained to me that no, it doesn't matter about that. Yep.
So I understand obviously that this is obviously I do agree that the organisation probably should provide you with the information you're requesting as you can act with the authority of your brother.
Yep.
What you would need to do at this point though is you would need to raise a concern with us ourselves via our website.
Yep.
So you need to make a direct complaint to us, and we would need to see copies of the concerns
Yes.
raised with the organisation and anything that's stated back to you. So
Yeah, I understand.
providing you've got those, then
Well,
that's the next course of action.
yeah, I mean, that's not the only course of action, but obviously my policy at this stage is because just to make sure that I'm right, or I don't want to be wasting your time now. I understand that if I was to lodge a complaint with yourself, you have maybe a 3 to 4 month, 3 to 4 month turnaround time before you'll be able to.
Correct.
Yeah, so obviously there's a 3 to 4 month turnaround time, and then once in a best case scenario, even if you held my complaint saying that no, Mr. Hussain is valid, then the only thing that you would most likely do, even though that you do have the power to take court action, it would be very unlikely that you would be taking court action, and you would most likely just advise them that they are actually in breach, and the subject access request is valid, and you would advise them to comply. So in a best case scenario, if I was to lodge a complaint with yourself, it would be maybe 4 months only for them to do what they're supposed to be doing, and there would be no reprisal or repercussions to them. However, it is correct that I can equally take legal action against them and court proceedings against them for this failure, and therefore there would be reprisal and repercussions more serious. Is that correct?
You said a lot of words there, so I do apologise. I didn't quite catch all that. But essentially, if you make a complaint to us, our obligation to you is to provide you with an assessment as to whether we think that the organisation has complied with their data protection obligations or not. If we think that they have, we will just simply provide you with a letter stating that. If we think that they haven't, then we will provide you with an assessment, and we will also probably contact the organisation in regards to their practices to see what we can do to improve them. If we decide to take action, that's when we decide to take it, irrespective of your complaint.
Yes,
we won't take action as a result of your complaint.
Yes.
However, your complaint may serve as evidence towards future action if we choose to take it.
Yes. So
that's all.
That's right.
In regards to
That's right, yes, and so that's correct. So you will not be acting as my representatives to remunerate me for my loss or damages. You would simply be acting in the capacity of your general duties, as the regulator, in order to ensure that organisations are operating within the legislation. So obviously that option may be not in my best interest, because I feel lost, aggrieved, that my data, my intangible property, namely my data, has been held by this organisation, and I believe that that may be still an option. I may still look to raise that with yourself, but at this stage, I simply just wanted to know whether my grievance or whether my understanding of the legislation is correct. Now, like I said, just focusing in on the second point. First of all, they've requested an extension of time. They could have provided with me with this Excel file listing all the call logs within the 1 calendar month. They chose not to do that. They chose to say that we need an extension of time, and the reason that they had given is that it's going to take a lot of time to collect all the call recordings. All right, because as you can appreciate, that's a very if you've just basically just recorded calls without it being auditable, then obviously it's going to take you a lot of time. So the first pretext that they've used is that because it's complex, because we're going to have to go match up all the call recording logs with searching through the calls, and therefore that makes it complex, and therefore we need an extension of time. I didn't accept that.
So I can't give you a yes or no answer as to whether that is deemed complex. Not over the phone anyway.
I'm not asking you for that. Remember, this is a general inquiry, and I mean, obviously, so I have had it confirmed with my inquiries to your colleagues that does not constitute complex. So I'm not asking for a yes or no question on that, because I have had it confirmed that does not constitute complex, because they could have designed a system that would have automatically.
What is it that I can help you with now?
Yeah. So what I would like to some further clarity on is that, having accepted that from their part that it was complex and they needed an extension of time to get the call recordings together, they have now given another pretext, which is that it's due to third party. So the focus of my call today is what constitutes like the third party exemption. Now, what they've done is that in the
just an third party exemption. They're simply stating that your brother's the third party, so therefore they're exempt from giving you the information because they would be disclosing his information to you.
Okay, no. Well,
that's why they're saying that.
Yeah, no. Just to further clarify, they have also said that we're gonna remove, the call log that they provided. There usually is a name of a person who answers the call. Like for example, yourself. Will, you answered this call. So if I was
to, they can remove that information. Yeah, they're entitled to do that.
And is that classified as third party?
It's classified as it's just someone else's personal data, so it's not third party, but you're not entitled to receive the names of the people that work there.
Yeah, and is that that's what I wanted to gain some clarity on, is that why not? Yeah. They work in the organization.
You're not entitled to information about the organization, you're entitled to your personal data.
Yes, but
that's not your personal data.
Yeah, I understand this. It's not my personal data, but it's still the organization is a legal entity.
But you're not asking for information about your legal entity, you're asking for your personal data.
Okay, all right. So
a subject access request is only for personal data. It's nothing else. It's not for anything else. Only personal data. Okay. So to be honest, the call log that you've asked for, that's not personal data. They've given you that in the way they have, but they weren't obligated to give you that.
I'm sorry. Just help me understand this, because I'm ringing them up, yes, and they're recording me.
Yeah, yes. I understand the confusion. So personal data, as defined by the GDPR, is only information that can identify a person. So the log of call recordings themselves, unless your name is stated on these call recordings, so on the electronic recorded file, then, which is unlikely, and most likely will simply be a number and a timestamp, then that's not personal data, because if I were to look at it, I wouldn't be able to identify who you were. So it's not information that identifies you. That's what personal data is when that's defined by the GDPR. So in the context of a subject access request, it's only for information that can identify an individual. A good example is a bank statement. The bank statement has at the top of it usually some sort of like account number, which is unique to you. And then it has your address and your name. Your name and address are obviously things that identify you and where you live, and your account number is unique to you and is an identifier of a sort, so that would be personal data. The list of transactions that you've made would not be personal data. They were made by you and they are relevant to you because they are your transactions, but the transaction list alone wouldn't reveal me anything about you to me. I wouldn't know who you were. It could be anybody. So the information is anonymous and therefore it's no longer personal data.
Okay, I mean, thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity. So that's a very good example. I would think the fact that what legal rights do I have for my transactional data then?
I wouldn't be able to tell you, unfortunately. We don't regulate that information.
Okay, so but the organization is holding my transactional data, which is obviously where I'm going shopping and so on and so forth, and I would consider that is still that transaction is only created through my relationship with the organization, and so therefore.
An example of a bank statement, you're entitled to your bank statements anyway.
No, under what law? Under what law?
The bank just gives it to you. You don't have. There's no law. That's just the bank gives to you.
So the bank can, in essence, refuse to give it to me, and there's no legal recourse.
There's no reason they would refuse to give you your own bank statement.
I understand, but like I said, they can just say, "Well, it's a private bank, it's a private organization. It's up to them to make a policy. They can say we don't want to give a statement."
Then change your bank.
Yeah, I understand, but all right, let's just move on from this. I just want to thank you for clarifying this. That you're saying that. I mean, I personally don't agree with that, but let's just move on. Like, for example, your car registration number, is that your personal data?
If it can be used to identify you.
Yeah. So, for example, when you're driving around and you're picked up on the cameras by the number plate recognition system, you can effectively make a subject access request for every time that your car's been recorded, because that's your personal data.
Potentially, if for example, when you drive around, your car registration is on display for everybody who can see your car.
Yep.
By looking at your car registration, they can't find out who you are from your car registration. So a car registration is personal data.
No, but they go to the DVLA and they can find out.
You You can't just do that.
No, but the people that the number plate record.
I can't go to the DVLA now, pull the car engine, and find out who owns the car.
Yeah, but you're not recording me right now. You're not recording my car right now, or.
It's not something that you can just do. It's something that probably the police can do because they have different powers.
That's exactly. So sorry. I just wanted to clarify. I mean,
okay.
I'm talking.
What I'm going to say now at this point. So ultimately, this call's simply for advice. We're not here to argue the exact details of the legislation. So unless you have anything further advice questions in relation to your complaint, I will have to end the call and move on. Just because we deal with other people in the queue waiting.
No, that's fair enough, sir. But I'm asking for advice, and you've given me some very pertinent advice. You've explained to me that they didn't even have to provide me with a call log. You've explained to me the fact that my transactions are not personal data, and I just wanted to ask that, there are number plate recognition systems by the police, and they are recording me, and they can identify me from my number plate registration. So effectively, I mean, do you understand that they're not going to turn around and give me every time they spot in my car, they're not going to give me those details. So therefore, they would equally be not compliant with the data protection legislation.
They would be, and that's why it's a complex thing to go through. But the data protection legislation has a different part than the police, obviously, because the police have separate powers in regards to how they can use your personal data.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying isn't true. The police would be compliant if because they would have a legitimate purpose for doing so. But unfortunately, I can't debate this with you anymore. So
okay, all right, sir. All right, sir. Sure. So well, that's fine. We don't need to go any further. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you for your call. Goodbye.
Goodbye. He's talking a lot of bollocks, isn't it? Like the bank can just refuse to give me my transactions. That's not personal data. Of course, it's my personal data. It gets generated by me. All right, it's to do with me. All right, what is this guy on about? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.